today. So all of you have access to turn your cameras on and your mics on. If you could please keep your cameras off and your mics off until the very end. We'll have a little bit of Q&A with Diana, and then we'll announce the winners of our submission. So please keep your cameras off and your mics off. Um, and at the end, we'll have you all ask any questions that you might have to Diana about her book, and then we'll go ahead and announce the winners of our submission. And I'll put that in the chat as well for people that are arriving late. Yeah?
Awesome. Super
Okay,
excited.
awesome.
I know I see some familiar names, so I'm excited that everyone is here and can't wait to answer some of your questions at the end for sure.
Yeah. And thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you here. So I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, one second.
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
answering some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free. People already started writing some questions in the chat. If you have any
I
questions,
love it.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and add them. So yeah. In the meantime, like I said, please keep cameras off and mics off, and then we can get started. All
Yes.
right.
I'm unable to see the questions. I'm in the chat, but I'm sure that maybe they'll
Yeah,
come up
hopefully they'll
later.
pop up after. Okay. Awesome.
Sweet.
Okay, let's get started. Thank
Let's
you
do
so much for
it.
joining me. Can you go ahead and just introduce yourself to our audience for people that might not know who you are?
For sure. No, again, thank you all so much for being here. My name is Dhayana Alejandrina. I am an author, a creative mentor, and the founder of the Creative Writing Hour, which is a space, a co working space for writers and creators to meet twice a week with a wonderful group of over 300 writers. I've published twice, and today we'll be diving into a little bit of creative stillness. Truly just a human being following my purpose and in love with creating safe spaces for others to do the same.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone who just joined us. We announced it in the beginning. If you're joining, please keep your cameras off and your mics off until the end. And then we'll be able to answer any questions that everyone has. So thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm excited to jump right into Creative Stillness. I had the chance to read it and I was just blown away. I was blown away by the caliber of writing and just the stories. I feel like people were so vulnerable, and I enjoy reading vulnerable work. So,
Absolutely.
from the beginning, I just want to ask, where did this idea come from for Creative Stillness? When did it land? When did you marinate on it and decide, okay,
Mm,
this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to title it?
yeah, for sure. So the term creative stillness came to be about 2 to 3 years ago, really. I believe that the very first encounter with the term was when I was going through a very interesting phase of my life, taking like my courses for my master class and having to completely stop. And during that time in my life, it was like, okay, I have to sit with myself and I have to face certain questions and certain parts of me
Hmm.
that are demanding stillness, and what does that really
Yeah.
look like in combination with action. And for many
Hmm.
writers out there, we know what writer's block means, and often it is a term that is packed with a lot of negativity, right? And we can overthink
Yeah.
who we are as writers, but not only that, we can overthink the meaning and the purpose of our work. And I think it was just a term given to me and fell through me, because then it started to make sense. It's not really a writer's block, it's just,
Hmm.
you know, life or God or whatever it is that you need in the moment telling you to pause, because there's so many
Yeah.
answers and ideas and beautiful developments and clarity in stillness. And so it was more like there's a dance to be had between the action and the stillness. And within the both of them, there's creativity. So we're
Hmm.
never not creating, because even when we are in stillness, there is unfolding. happening. An idea makes sense, or an idea doesn't make sense, or the purpose of something no longer aligns. And so
Yeah.
that is where the term came from. So after winning the grant through Gatekeeper Press, I was like, it would be a great and beautiful thing to create a project with this title, and what would that
Mhm.
mean for other writers. And so we took it from there, did the call for submissions, got over 100 submissions, and it is what it is today. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And I love the title, first of all. You know I love a good title. And I loved this title. It
Thank
was
you,
yeah, it was
sis.
great. It was so good. And reading it, every piece really embodied the title. So and I agree with you, right? I feel like our most enlightening thoughts and our most like creative thoughts come to us through stillness, and I found that to be true as well in all aspects of my life. Nothing good has ever come from me being mindless and rushing through life. It's
Busy
always
bodies.
in yes it's always when I'm sitting or I'm meditating,
Mm,
or I'm just sitting with myself that some of these downloads happen. So I love the title, and I
absolutely.
think it's so profound.
Thank
I
you.
want to talk a little bit about. I know not everyone here has read the book, but I want to talk a little bit about your intro. And you
Mm,
spoke about your mother
mm,
being an immigrant, coming to this country alone, not speaking English, worked in a factory. And then you also talked about your abuela, your grandmother. So I want to ask, like, before you started the creative writing hour,
mhm.
before the community, what was your relationship with stillness, and did it feel like something you were running
Mm,
from?
certainly felt like something I was running from. And the reason why is because, first of all, I was very young. So when we're young, moving to the United States, acclimating to everything, I'm learning the language, the culture, the differences between the communities, both in the Dominican Republic and here. And
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't necessarily that I was running at a young age, but when it hit time to grow and to reflect and to truly understand what this stillness means was more towards like, yeah, my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to hear me? Okay. You went away
Yeah,
for a
I
little
can hear
bit. So,
you.
okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So, um, yeah, it was like my early 20s, and again
Mm-hmm.
during that specific experience where um pretty much I got kicked out of my two master courses from college. And before
Mm-hmm.
that, it felt like I was running away from stillness because I thought I cannot let my parents down. I did not come to this country to waste time. I have to make sure that I am achieving something. And they never
Yeah.
planted that seed of you owe me something. It's more of the
Mm-hmm.
respect that I have
Mm-hmm.
for the sacrifice that they made. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I knew I couldn't be messing around and wasting my
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
after they did everything they did. So it was self-inflicted pressure,
Yeah.
self-inflicted hustle. Plus the culture in the United States is pretty much a hustle culture. So I fell deep into the, okay, school, then master's degree, and this and that and this, and my titles, and who am I without my
Yeah.
titles. That was a pivotal
Yeah.
moment in my life, and that is truly when I started to understand just how much of a tool and a friend stillness is, which is nothing that will drag me back. Sometimes you do have to
Mm-hmm.
take a couple steps back in order to see the bigger picture. And that's what really
Yeah.
happened to me. It was like, let me take a couple steps back, because what if I'm doing something that has nothing to do with my purpose? And in reality, I'm just wasting my time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I was definitely a runner.
Yeah.
But now I'm like so quick to cancel and to be like, hey, I apologize, but I'm at capacity. So can we move
Mm-hmm.
this? Can we adjust this? And
Mm-hmm.
that is just me having grace for myself in order to show up 100% and not show up
Yeah.
20% for other people.
Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. And you can see me okay, right?
I can see you, yes.
Thank you everyone for your patience. We're trying out something new, and you know what happens when you're trying new things. So
Yes, no, no,
I
no, it's for
appreciate
sure.
everyone's patience and figuring out how to work this app. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm happy to troubleshoot together. But thank you, Di, for talking about that. And I want to talk a little bit more about the you're an immigrant, right? You immigrated to the United States, and I want to talk about how that has informed your writing, right? Like
Mm,
coming from the DR, growing up, or growing up there and coming here. And like you said, America, at least for me, like whenever I go back home and I come here, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you just feel like the need to rush everywhere. Like people don't even walk
mm,
slow, right? There's always this sense of like, you're running out of time. You have to do like there's stillness is not something that is the norm, right, in this
mm.
country. So I want to talk a little bit about, your upbringing, and then also if you can share with us a little bit about how it was for you when you came here, in your art, in your life,
Mm.
and how has that informed, the Diana that we're speaking to today.
Yeah, I feel like the Diana that you're speaking to today is still trying to figure out like her history because
Yeah.
moving back here, it completely separated me from so much. And
Mm,
I didn't really have time to, I guess, to marinate in what it would have been like to be an adult in Dominican Republic and to
yeah.
go to
Yeah.
college in Dominican Republic and develop my, um, I don't know, my writing in a more professional way in Spanish and
Yeah.
things like that. So a part of me really, and still is, grieving that,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is what you may see a lot within my writing, the going back
Mhm.
to the memories, or
Yeah.
trying to do more research and incorporate it within my writing, or asking my parents um, about their life and about things that I've never experienced or will soon experience the more that I go back to Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So there's always this hopefulness within the writing, this my eyes through the eyes of my family and their
Yeah.
experiences, which have informed me the most, is that uh, oral storytelling. It's what
Mhm.
has helped me truly when it comes to then my writing. So
Yeah.
I go around being just asking questions to my brothers and my parents about things, and as you mentioned, there's a huge difference when you go back home and then you come back, and you
Yeah.
see how you have to hop right into the work and pick up where you left off, and nobody's really asking questions. It's more like,
Yeah.
okay, welcome back.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
10, 15 emails for you to respond back to, and your nervous system is everywhere. You kind of
Right.
haven't even been able
Right.
um to sit with the experiences you just have back home, or the conversations you have with your elders, or the memories that you made. It's
Mm,
kind of comes like becomes like
yeah.
a afterthought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And I resonate with that a lot as well, I think.
Mm,
And also this I loved that you mentioned, storytelling and how, that informed a lot of your upbringing, because I think for a lot of writers, they use writing as an outlet, right? To express
mm,
things that, you can't really express in any other way. And I think that's true for artists and creatives,
for sure.
in general, right? The art is the medium in which you can express things that are unexpressed, or you can't,
Mm,
freely express in any other way. So for you, and like for you and this specific Creative Stillness, this book, this anthology, where was that, like how did that fit into, how you decided to go about this anthology, who you decided to choose from the submissions, like what part did like storytelling
yeah.
have in that? Yeah.
Right. It was so hard to choose from these submissions for the book because I knew I was going to have so many of my friends submit. And I was like, I don't want to
Yeah.
be the villain. What am I going to do? But sincerely, when you think about creative stillness, it is not a lack. off. It's not that you are
Mhm.
a bad musician, a bad
Mhm.
photographer, a bad writer.
Yeah.
We all know that no matter which field of work we're in, we need to continue to learn the field. We need to continue to
Yeah.
educate ourselves on the new
Yeah.
thing or the new way of writing or whatever form of poetry may arise, in the upcoming
Yeah.
years. So there's always work to do to get better, right?
Mhm.
And at the same time, there's also the importance of understanding that your level of craft, of wisdom within a specific field of creativity is very
Mhm.
different than somebody that has been in the field for years. And so I think this is where a lot of creative and writers get it messed up, because you start to compare your work to somebody who is highly successful. I mean,
Mhm.
like, and you also forget that so many of these individuals hit their success later on in life. I mean, like, they're
Mhm.
like in their 40s.
Mhm.
Maya started
Mhm.
publishing a lot of her books when she was older, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she didn't even really think she was going to be a writer, and she
Mhm.
experienced a lot of
Mhm.
criticism. She was a singer, she's an artist. Like, you
Yeah.
really have to think about all of this. So, with selection of pieces, it was more like, okay, what does it really mean to practice creative stillness? And
Mhm.
creative stillness is a combination of many different memories and experiences in our life. It can be a
Yeah.
really deep conversation you had with your best friend that opened up your eyes, or that broke you and therefore created a space. It could be a
Mhm.
memory of your grandfathers and your grandmother, like one of the stories of Steph Midori. She wrote about made you like the craft and memory of tea. She's Japanese and
Yeah.
Greek, so like, what was that like, and how was her
Yeah.
grandfather making tea? And it all came from also memory. And so I was looking for pieces like that, pieces that were just rare. I have like a
Mhm.
UFO piece from a writer that's taking perspective
Right.
from it. It's like, what comes from being still, from just
Mhm.
being curious, from just looking
Mhm.
at the bird and thinking, oh my gosh, look how, I don't know, vibrant the wing color
Yeah.
is. And then now you have a
Yeah.
poem. Or what does it look like for you to sit still and just literally listen to your heart? What type of music does it create?
Mhm.
But there are times in which we are writing from loneliness, from heartbreak, and all of that
Yeah.
still creativity that comes from moments of stillness, moments that, again, are a balance between the joy and
Mhm.
the hardships of our humanity. So I wanted to show both of those sides, and also the side of like what it is to be a writer. So we have
Yeah.
pieces from Sabrina. She's a mother of two. What does that look like for a mother
Yeah.
to still
Yeah.
understand her power and her vulnerability, and how her writing evolves now by being a mother? You have pieces that talk about like the space of a writer, and the ritual of what that feels like.
Mhm.
So those were the pieces that I was looking forward to select, and it was again hard to select them all, but they fit perfectly, and I'm just very grateful for how it all turned out.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand that, especially when you have some friends and they're like, "Girl, here's
I
my
know.
submission."
And you're like,
I
wait, wait,
get
wait, wait,
it.
wait, wait. You're talking to the
Yeah,
boss now.
right.
Like, I need to make some strategic decisions,
Period.
girl. So like, give me a
I
minute.
know, yeah. It's blurred lines. I
Yeah,
completely get it. I
yeah,
completely get it. But no, I love everything that you said. And what sat with me most, I think, is this idea of being a creative and creating and bringing that back to the kind of world that we live in, right? And we talk a lot about this at Noir, is, this our last magazine issue, right, was the artist dilemma. And this dilemma that artists face between choosing their craft and doing what their soul is calling them to do, and then
for
also
sure.
functioning in a capitalistic world, right?
Hmm.
And or I mean, the world is capitalistic, but of course in the US as well, like we talked about, there's this urgency, right? And I think that fall also can fall into artists
Hmm.
and creatives of like, well, I want to be the next Maya Angelou. It's like, okay, why? Right? Like, okay, so I can prove that
Big
what I'm
why.
doing actually matters, right? Like,
Mm.
and that is the, I think that is the pattern that a lot of creatives fall into, is they're rushing for
Oof.
success, because
Please talk
success
about
is
it.
the, it's
Please
how
talk about
people
it. Please talk
measure.
about it.
Oh, you're a
Nah,
writer, okay,
let's take a pause. Let's take a pause right there. For anybody who is listening to this right now, there is absolutely no rush. And there is a point where I was seeing so many writers just back to back to back poetry books. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, y'all got an arsenal of poetry books that it's just nonstop. Y'all not gonna let nobody marinate with the first one. You're
Yeah.
already on number
Uh-uh.
6, and it's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
what is the rush to be seen so much?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
what does it even mean to be seen? Because
Mhm.
a lot of people just start doing whatever they think other people needs them to do. They become being
Mhm.
extremely, then they become extremely depressed or stressed,
Yeah.
or they
Yeah.
start to hate the actual
Mhm.
art that
Yeah.
they fell in love with. And
Yeah.
it's because you're trying to catch up and play, cat and mouse with a society that does not care.
Mhm.
It's always going to be evolving, but your art
Yeah.
should be so sacred and should have such meaning that it will not always be, it will be timeless, you know what I mean? And it will have
Yeah.
that substance that people will actually have to sit with it. So yeah, the
Mhm.
rush, girl.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But how does that come into play here, like in terms of the world that we're living in, as a writer, and you can speak to that, like as a writer, how do you function in this world? Like, how do you choose your craft and not feel like you have to drop 30 books at once because that's where the money is? Like, how, because this world, I think we can acknowledge that this world, or a huge part of this world, doesn't really recognize the importance of art, whether that's through writing,
Hmm.
music, like whatever it is. There it's hard to defend your craft, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? It feels like you have to
Hmm.
defend it. If you were a lawyer, nobody would be asking you, oh, so what are you going to do with that? Or like, like
Mm,
nobody,
mm,
there's not that kind of
mm,
side eye, right? And I feel like, for entrepreneurs, for creatives, who haven't made it, or who don't have accolades behind their business or their name, where they can say, well, here it is. When you're at the point of having none of that, and the only thing that's there is you and your love for what you're doing, how do you defend that?
mm.
And do you feel like you have to, like, have you had that experience? And I'm sure you have, but how, yeah, how
Um,
do you defend it?
that is such a packed, onion layered question. Let me
Yeah.
peel it slowly and see where I get. Um, First of all, defend it from the society that we live in.
Yeah, I would say
We,
society, and even people that are well intentioned, right? Like, because I don't
mm,
think it's everyone that's asking you, what are you going to do with that? That's like trying to be shady. Some people are
mm.
actually worried
Right. Yeah, I
because
know.
they're like, we know the world that we live in, right? Like,
Right.
are you going to be able to make a living and survive,
Correct.
from your art
Yeah.
or from your writing? So,
From
mhm.
that perspective, I think that so many of us know, so many of us who live the life of having to support a family member, or just understanding how expensive things are right now,
Yeah.
we
Hmm.
know that we have to have that 9 to 5. We have to have
Yeah.
that like part-time job on the side that will help us stay afloat, in
Hmm.
the, while we create the program, the idea, the business that we envision. And that is the sacrifice that we're making. I have a whole nine
Yeah.
to five I completely feel like two different individuals, and I'm trying to bring those two individuals together. That is the
Yeah.
sacrifice that I'm making so I can be one. Okay, I am planning. So anybody who's out there and is sacrificing working at a job that they don't truly like, you have to understand your plan. You have to understand the why and the what. The how
Hmm.
is going to come. But if you have a strong enough why and a strong enough what, why am I
Hmm.
doing this? What am I doing? The how is
Hmm.
going to come. And a lot of that has to do for me is my faith in God. Like I have had to learn to let go of being controlling over so many parts of my life, which
Isn't
is
it
really
so
difficult
hard?
to do. It is extremely difficult to do, and I still find
Yeah.
so much, like I still struggle, but I haven't had to defend myself so much from it. It's more I've had to stop self-sabotaging because
Yeah.
I know my I know how driven I am. I know how vision oriented I am. I know that I've gotten to places that have been truly God and not me. Because I'm like, how am I here? Like, how are
Mhm.
these people trying to work with me? I've never met them. Oh, I heard about you from somebody else's friend. And I'm like, you know what? Wonderful. And so
Yeah.
I think for me, have had to defend my work from myself because sometimes it's too good to be true.
Mm.
Like, oh, I can
Mhm.
be that. It is
Mm.
possible. I mean, the pieces
Yeah.
are aligning. So why am I self-sabotaging and why am I doing that?
Yeah.
Because of a society that makes art so difficult to
Mhm.
like to see as a possible career. But not only
Yeah.
that, we have to be honest, a lot of us, and we know what I mean by that, don't have, the flexibility that others do, don't have the upbringings that others do, don't have the resources. We're building it
Mhm.
right
Mhm.
now.
I want to pause there and honor that and acknowledge that, because that was going to
Mm.
be my follow-up question for you was, being a person of color, being a black woman, uh well, you're biracial. I'm sorry. You're what is your
Afro-Caribbean
actually
girl,
Afro
we
Caribbean? Okay, there we go. I was like,
because
I want to name it
listen, we
well,
are
yeah.
we all black. So when people say
Mhm.
that they're not, I'm like, listen, trace it back. Spanish might be my
Trace
first
it back.
language, yeah, but Spanish
Mhm.
might be my first language. But we're
Yeah.
all. I mean, when you think
Yeah.
of colonialism and how they were just moving us
Exactly.
around, we end
Mhm.
up being in different places in the world, but we all have
Yeah.
deep tides. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think even when you think about your experience here in the US, right?
Mm.
Like,
Oh yeah.
if you're black, you're black in the
Yep.
US. Like,
Oh
they
yeah.
don't
They don't
really
care.
they're not looking right. Like which black are you? Like, no, you're black, we all
Mm,
suffer the same. So, I want to talk a little bit more about that. Because I do recognize that a lot of times it's hard to choose, the road less traveled with art and with being a creative,
mm,
especially for Black people, right? And I know there's some people on this call and who submitted for our submissions who are also living in Africa or living in different countries. So I want to just acknowledge that it is hard, right? Especially when maybe you have grown up without all the resources. So there's this extra, right, level of responsibility, right, to
mm.
break generational patterns. And a lot of times that aligns with like being financially well off, right? Being
Correct.
wealthy, like seeking wealth, like extreme wealth,
Mm,
because you know where you've come from. And I want to honor that. And I want to hear a little bit from you because of your lived experience and you
mm,
being a creative. And I know you're at a crossroads in your life as well that we've talked about personally, right? And you're being
mhm,
daring, and it's so beautiful like how daring you're being and going all in to, your dream and your passion and your calling. And that's what I love so much about you. And I want you to speak a little bit about what does that like daring greatly feel like? What does it feel and look like to just lean in, and trust that I am here for a reason and I was given these gifts for a reason, and
mm.
you're turning off the noise and just going in. Like,
Right.
what does that
Oh
feel
my
like?
gosh, it is absolutely terrifying. But you know what? It feels terrifying because so many of us grow seeing our parents, and not all parents, okay? But some of us
Mhm.
grow seeing our parents put aside the one thing they loved to be able to
Mhm.
provide. And they provide with love, they provide with
Mhm.
care, and
Mhm.
our experiences can be different. Your experience with your parents or whoever's listening right now could have been very
Yeah.
different. But for
Yeah.
some of us who may have seen a parent put aside something that they love to do, or not being able to ever do the thing they wanted to try,
Yeah.
being daring is absolutely a love letter to our parents, to our great
Mhm.
grandparents, to all of our family lineage. So it feels very scary,
Mhm.
to grasp that you are deserving of it,
Mhm.
right? That you don't have to be a slave to the 9 to 5. That you don't
Yeah.
have to, that's not the only way, but this world makes you
Yeah.
think it is the only way to
Yeah.
survive. You
Yeah.
see people
Yeah.
who have built their homesteads, leaving acres, are doing
Mhm.
great, plant their
Mhm.
own food, do everything they need. And what do you
Yeah.
mean that,
Yeah.
there's many
Mhm.
ways. And so it feels it feels necessary, and again it
Mhm.
goes back to the let's stop self-sabotaging the gifts and the opportunities that God provides us with,
Yeah.
because otherwise we're just being disobedient, and we're not going to be blessed if we're not listening and acting on what we're being told to do. So for
Mhm.
me, it's like I have to be obedient, I have to be daring, I have to
Mhm.
try, because I already know I'm in a spot where I've done enough where I'm at, you know.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
if I want to continue on forward and follow what God wants me to do, I have to be able to let go of the past and be
Yeah.
like, well, this is not coming with me,
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be elevating onto something else. And through my elevation is the elevation of somebody else that's watching me be daring,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and that's going to be like, well, Diana did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
she you have to apply yourself, you have to believe in yourself, you have to put your head down, but it's possible. So
Yeah.
I'm in that space. I'm like, I no longer need to flirt with the idea, and I need to put a ring on
Mhm.
the idea and
Yeah.
commit.
Yes. Yes, commitment.
That's how it's feeling.
Yeah.
It's like I've done enough, like
Mhm.
enough flirting with the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And I think I that resonates a lot, in general. And I think for everyone out here that's listening, that even joined this call today, I just want to first of all shout out to y'all. It's a Sunday. I
I know.
appreciate you guys being here. But I hope that, what Diana is saying is really sitting with you all, and you're, letting it sink in,
For sure.
because it is hard, it's hard, and it's not easy, and I think we can acknowledge that, like, choosing the road less traveled and choosing a non-conventional path is hard, it's not easy. So
Mhm.
um talking about daring greatly, and talking about, putting yourself first, and putting your art and what you're called to do first, and truly believing it, right? It's one thing to do something and go through the motions, but I think when you get to that point of truly believing this is possible for me, this will happen for me,
Mhm.
because I said so, and because I'm walking in that path, right? Like, once you start walking the path will open. And that's one of my favorite
Mm.
quotes, is you just have to take one step, right? And another step. And as you're taking those steps, you're going to realize all of, like,
Mm.
the universe is conspiring to make your art
For
alive and
sure.
to take you to where you need to go. And we've talked about that, even how we met, was,
Mm.
it was just so
I know.
amazing. And I think, so I would just encourage, I just wanted to take a side note to just encourage you all, to just take one step at a time, and just
Yes.
lean in, like, lean into what you feel like you're called to do. So
Yeah, and take a leap of
okay.
faith. Like, reach out to the person that you admire. Like, just say hello. This is my
Mm-hmm.
name. Like, send the email, the introduction. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to not be afraid of failing. You
Yeah.
cannot be afraid of rejection. It
Yeah.
got to the point that people, like, when I get a rejection email because I submitted a
Mm-hmm.
poem, at this point it's just like a
It's
spam.
like, well, who's
I
next?
treat it I treat it
Yeah,
like a
it's like,
spam. Delete.
yeah.
uh, Moving on.
And I
Because
want to say that rejection and failure are two completely different things, right?
completely
Because
different
I think
things.
people put the two together. Like, if this person is rejecting me, that means I'm a
Oh,
failure. And I
yes.
feel like that couldn't be more like further from the truth, right? Just
Correct.
because somebody in that moment, for whatever circumstance, didn't choose you, that doesn't mean that you're a failure. So, and I
Hmm.
think that's something that I had to learn as well. So
Yeah, we all do.
yeah.
We all been there. We are not immune to rejection.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're not.
for
We're
sure.
not.
We're very not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to also give you the opportunity, Di, to talk a little bit about. I know you introduced yourself in the beginning, but if you can just talk about you in general, your anthology, the book that you had before this, you as a writer. I also want people to connect with you. Talk a little bit about the creative writing hour as well.
Mm,
I know some people were joining the call later, but can you just take it back a little bit?
yeah.
Tell us, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, let's have the conversation together here. I'm the only girl out of four boys, including my father. So, I grew up a very protective household, and my dad very strict. And then we know about the dads are strict. But my dad also had that soft side. My dad is a writer, so he'll write
Mhm.
poems or short quotes or really sit with me, have really deep conversations, and he still does. He still write me poems or letters for my birthday. My mom
Sweet.
also likes to write. So the creativity, but most importantly, I guess the vulnerability of expression was already engraved within, my family. My brother loves
Mhm.
music, writes music, makes music, and all of them overall are very self-aware emotionally and very expressive.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I grew up with that. I just never thought I'll be a writer. I always journal like any other girl with their hard locked diary and, the
Yeah.
boys that you liked and things like that. But, I never really thought I was going to be here doing this and being the first person in my family to publish books. So it is a
Yeah.
really big deal to me. And I don't take it lightly. There has to be a level of intentionality with the way in which we preserve the stories of our family members, of the people
Yeah.
around us. And so, yeah, my first book, Agridulce, was published in 2021, so during COVID time. And that book I started while living in Japan. So I used to work with kids in Japan, and people will always see me like with my sticky notes writing something, and I was just letting the ideas come. The kids are napping.
Mhm.
I'm like writing a little poem, or I'll bring my journal until somebody read my poems and was like, "You should publish your book," or do an
Mhm.
open mic. So my first open mic was in Japan, and from there, I got more serious with what it would look like to select a few pieces. And I was
Mhm.
going through a lot of turmoil doing that. It was my early 20s. I had a lot of self digging to do. And
Yeah.
I was not this person that I am today. So I was not very expressive. I wrote everything that I felt on my journal, and I kind of just had a mask for everybody else. So publishing Agridulce was tearing down that mask and letting people
Mhm.
know, and myself, that I no longer needed to hide from all these difficult emotions and
Yes.
different layers. and
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
yeah, agridulce means bittersweet. So it's divided into two chapters: the sweet, the bitter, and the sweet. So it walks
Mhm.
you through all of those human emotions that we tend to run away from, and it was
Yeah.
liberating. It was like that one
Yeah.
time that, now I am who I am. Now I can talk about the
Yeah.
things and not be afraid of it.
Yes.
And it feels great. So Agridulce truly was the start of it all, and then met a lot of people on the way, mentor a lot of
Mhm.
writers. Like I help. I'm an editor, so I edit poetry
Mhm.
books and
Mhm.
nonfiction books and short stories, and I help writers learn how to get published or pitch themselves or start their
Yeah.
website or start their page. So I've just really fell in love with giving back in that way. Like what I
Mhm.
learn, I can teach others.
Yeah.
And now
You
we
are
got
you are you are that way. You do give a lot
thank
back to
you.
the writing community, and that's something that really fascinates me about you, even with the creative writing hour.
Um,
So for all the writers in here, please connect with Diana. Like,
yes,
follow her. Join the creative writing hour if you're looking for a writing community.
for sure.
Speak with her. I think you're a great mentor, and um,
Thank you, boo.
I I I know I keep having my little sidebars, right, from what you said. Um, but to go back to your point about vulnerability, I want to talk a little bit about the the idea of finally putting yourself out there, right? I
Mm,
know, and I think this is something that many people struggle with, but definitely creatives as well, is putting out your work, right?
mm,
And I know there's perfectionism that's looped in
Mm,
there. I know there's a
right.
fear, right, of what will people say? Will they judge me? Will they understand me? And we know the world that we live in today, right, with social media. I think people are so quick to be judgmental, and it's like, do you write? Like, can you, like, have I
Mm.
seen you write anything, but you're judging my writing? Okay. Like,
Right.
but people are so, they're judgmental, and I think
Correct.
there is, the fear is valid, right?
Mm.
Especially when you're grappling with your own fear of, is this for me? Is my work good? And then you put it out there and somebody's in the comments telling you about your life, right? So it's real. So how do you deal with that? How do you, or when did you, I guess you spoke a little bit about it with Agri Dulce, but when did you finally just feel comfortable with, I'm putting this out there? If it resonates with you, it resonates with you. If it doesn't, it
Mm.
doesn't. And that fear, like, what did you do with the fear, I guess, is the question,
Mm.
because I think we all have it, but what did you do with it? Where is it right now? Like, is it
It's hidden, so I know. But well, first of all, we have to understand what social media is. So if we start talking about what does it look like to put ourselves out there in social media, it's
Mhm.
just so not real in many ways. Yes, you have people
Yeah,
who are very honest, very real, of
yeah.
course. Like I've met great friends who are
Mhm.
transparent, who I know are the same people whenever I meet them in person. But when it comes to our art, we have to understand that social media is changing so much, and the attention span of individuals are so short
Yeah.
that now we're having to trim down our art and make it something completely different in order for people to digest it. And so you have
Mhm.
to focus on your in-person community the most. You
Mhm.
have to treat
Mhm.
social media as like your portfolio. That's how I treat it. You understand?
Mhm.
Like that's when
Mhm.
things that's when really shit got real. I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, no. I'm
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
cannot continue to worry about how many times I'm posting during the day. I have to
Mhm.
trim down this
How many likes
poem.
you
How many
got? How
likes
many
do I have?
comments? Oh my
No,
goodness.
it's more
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
it's strategic. Okay,
Mhm.
let me and first of all, before I get there, if you're thinking about putting your work out there, start small. If you
Mhm.
know that saying, oh, I'm gonna publish a full manuscript collection is too much for you right now,
Mhm.
then just build up your credibility and your name and your
Yeah.
confidence. Just go ahead and
Yeah.
submit 5 poems a month somewhere,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
how so many did here. That
Yeah.
is a great way to start. You
Yes.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Submit to somebody that can give you feedback, that you're
Yeah.
paying $20, $30. Just help,
Mhm.
get your writing together and just get that
Yeah.
feedback and continue to submit. Then you
Yeah.
put together your work. Then you
Yeah.
start to think about publishing. Go to the open
Yeah.
mics.
Yeah.
Hear your
Yeah.
own voice, hear your own
Mhm.
voice, deliver, do it for months. That's what I did. Like I was going to workshops, I was doing online open mics, in person open mics, I was asking people's
Mhm.
questions, I was getting a
Mhm.
lot of rejections, and I
Mhm.
struggled too. So that's okay. But I wasn't like, I have to publish a 200-page manuscript by the end of the month or else my art doesn't matter. No, I
Yeah.
started and I built my confidence. I understood. And for me, it was different. I did publish the book first,
Yeah.
but that was necessary. And I had to do my research for that as well. That pushed me to be more vocal. It pushed me to advocate for myself more. It pushed
Yeah.
me to understand that in person community is also very, very important. You have to have a
Mhm.
balance
Yeah.
of both.
Yeah.
You cannot just
Yeah.
rely on your social media. So, yeah, that's like how I see it and how the fear
Mhm.
has sort of dissolved. I think
Yeah.
I'm more like afraid of recording a freaking video, which than
Yeah.
anything else. Like
Than putting
if
your work
somebody
out
tells
there.
me, "Oh, hey Diana, can you record a video talking about this?" I'm like, oh, "Why?" I'm like,
That's, you
I'm
do
gonna
still owe
start
me a
laughing.
video.
I know,
I just
stop.
remembered. You owe me a video. We're gonna have to get that video after this call.
Because I just start laughing, y'all. Like I just started
Yeah.
being a goof. But
Yeah.
yeah, like what really, ask yourself, what really is fear? Because fear doesn't really exist in the present. It exists in the things that you are looking forward to do.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, what I
Yeah.
have to do next week. Oh, I'm starting to get
Mhm.
anxious, and but
Mhm.
nothing in the present really calls for fear.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And I'll also say, like, even with social media, I love reading your your posts. Like, I love reading your captions because you write real captions. And I feel like, especially today with AI and everyone copy pasting the same chat GPT like caption, like reading a real and raw caption as well is a great way to start, right? Like,
Yeah,
if you're not wanting to write something and publish
absolutely.
it, post on social media and write what you're feeling in the caption, right? It doesn't have to be this huge leap, I think, is
I
what Diana is
know.
saying, is that, you
Hmm.
start small, and that's how, the
I
fear slowly
agree.
starts to dissolve. Is, oh, I did that and it wasn't so bad. Oh, I did
Mm.
that and it
I
wasn't so
love the
bad,
idea
right? Like,
of the
that's
caption. Yeah,
yeah.
no,
I
I
mean, I
really
think you
think
do it
everybody
without even
should.
realizing it. Yeah.
But
So
it's a
that's
great
our
way to
challenge.
start.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
our challenge for everyone on this call, right? Like, post
Yeah.
something and write a real and raw caption, right?
Caption.
For
Yep.
a caption it. Yeah, start there. You
Literally.
don't have to launch a Substack tomorrow if that's not where you are yet, but just get comfortable with writing something and putting it out there. I think that
Mm.
is what Di is
Mm.
trying to say, right? Just
So
get
important.
comfortable with that. And the only
Yeah.
way you'll get comfortable with it is by facing it, right? You're not going to die
Correct.
from embarrassment,
No,
although
no,
there
no,
were
no,
many times I
no.
thought I was going to.
Me
You're
too.
not going to
Like,
die. You're not going to die from embarrassment. Yeah. And I know we're almost at time, so I do want to open up the floor to anyone who wants to turn their camera on. Feel free to turn your camera on, and I just want to open it up for any questions that anyone might have for Diana or about this conversation. We will announce the winners of the submissions before the end of the call, but I want to just open it up. If anyone has any questions, feel free to write it in the chat if you don't want to come off mute or turn on your camera, or just feel free to ask on the
yes.
call.
Excited to see what questions may be out
I
there.
know. I know.
And thank you again, everybody who came or here.
Yeah,
But
thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. I know it's late for a lot of people as well, so I appreciate I appreciate everyone making it on a Sunday. And
Yeah.
if you want, you could also message us your questions later. Diana can answer them. I know it's late for a lot of people, but we'll leave it open for a few more minutes for any
Yes,
questions. Yeah.
for sure. Super cool. And I know you said, were they questions earlier on the chat
Yeah, I guess
or?
I have my own personal chat that everyone can see, which is interesting.
Mm,
Are you seeing the questions pop up on the
I
chat?
can't. Mm-mm.
Okay, I guess I'll
There's
just read
one.
it.
Oh yeah, I
Okay,
see one.
you're seeing them? Okay.
How can creatives try to use their ideas even with the high rate of AI? How can creatives try to
Yeah.
use their ideas even
Mm-hmm.
with, well, I mean, first of all, I grew up at a time where I had to pay to go to an internet booth to talk to my friends and like log into MySpace and use the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very shocking for me to be in a
Mm-hmm.
time where everything can be done in seconds with your writing
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
a tool analyzing your work. I need
Yeah.
us to understand that we cannot be afraid of AI. We need to understand how it works. We need to understand how to use it. And we need to
Mm-hmm.
understand how to use it in a way that is not creating our ideas, right? Maybe you're using it
Mm-hmm.
to maybe give you can you break down the best way to write a poetry manuscript? Like, do I need
Yeah. The
a
more technical stuff,
dedication, the
right?
more
Yeah.
technical
Mm-hmm.
things?
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot shy away from understanding how it works because then
Yeah.
you're not even going to understand what is written work by AI when you're reading it,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So you still have to develop your own idea. They are your own God-given ideas with your own
Mm-hmm.
brain and your own heart and
Mm-hmm.
your own experiences. No
Yeah.
AI can I mean, you have to understand that as much as you can tell AI, because you're the, at the end of the day, we are the people telling AI what to write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
We
there's going to
aren't.
be a point, honestly, where, and I'm even seeing it now, like in the beginning when ChatGPT first launched, like I could immediately point out that's AI, and we're even seeing it with the videos. Like, I saw a video the other day that I did not know was AI. And I think that's insane,
It is very
especially
scary.
yeah, it's scary, and it's only been around for what, really 6 years, right? Imagine in the next 10, 20 years, right? It's going to
Correct.
be indistinct, like you're not going to be able to tell. So
Mm-mm.
I
Mm-mm.
want also, like, to follow up on that, I want to ask you, Diana, like, what I think there's also a level of resign that I've been seeing with a lot of people of like, what is the point, right? Like, what is the point of sitting down and taking hours to write something when somebody else can just go on AI in 5 seconds and prompt it to do something? They're posting that on Substack or wherever, and they're getting a million likes, right? So
Mm,
what is what would you say to someone that's kind of feeling that resign of like, is there still a point to like compete against AI or even write organic work? Yeah, based on
wow.
where we
You
are.
know what? I feel like I feel so much that is I'm having like a hard time articulating what I feel, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody will ever be able to replicate what it takes to sit there in your human
Mm-hmm.
body, in your emotions, and write the pain from your hands, the
Mm-hmm.
scratches when you're editing,
Mm-hmm.
the laughter and the cries and the coming
Mm-hmm.
back and seeing, what you have worked
Yeah.
on, that cannot be replaced. And you have
Mm-hmm.
to understand that you have people out there who just wish to have that immediate recognition and gratification. Is that
Mm-hmm.
you? Because
Mm-hmm.
then that's going to inform your question. Do you
Mm-hmm.
rather sit there and paint the picture for a whole week and people be able to tell that you did that by yourself, and the colors and the drafting, and now you're
Mm-hmm.
selling it for hundreds and hundreds of dollars because it is made by you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not
Yeah.
just printed out? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
that is a question that people have to sit with. What are you
Mm-hmm.
chasing that you
Yeah.
are that you are willing to completely have it tell your story, instead of you sitting with what it takes to tell
Yeah.
your story, and the
Yeah.
research that it takes, and the feeling that
Mm-hmm.
it takes, and the questions that
Mm-hmm.
it takes, and the humanity that it takes. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really up to you. I feel
Yeah.
like that's going to be a
Yeah.
question that you're going to have to face, and that's not an easy question.
It's not. Yeah. And I
Mm,
will say that I also can recognize, where people are feeling anxious or,
mm,
nervous about the future of their art and the future of their craft. I know it's not just writers, right? It's
mm-mm.
singers. Now there's an AI artist that,
Producers,
right? Like, so
everybody.
we're like artists and creatives are getting attacked on all fronts, right? It's not just you, it's
Mm,
not just me, it's not just writers. So I think we can take some comfort in knowing that as creatives, like we almost have to push back a little bit, right? And I
you
feel like the
have
only
to.
way to push back is to continue to create authentic things, right? And I feel like now more than ever, the world needs your art, right? It's not a
Yes.
time to back down and say, well, AI is here, what's the purpose?
Yeah,
No,
let me
like
throw the,
now
the, the
more
white
than ever.
towel.
Exactly. Like, no, we want our kids and our kids to know what real art is, right? So
Yes.
even if you're creating for that, to continue, the legacy of what it means to be an artist and a creative, like
Mm-hmm.
now more than ever the world needs you. And that's what I say whenever people tell me that they're feeling anxious, about AI is
Yeah.
AI is great, it's convenient, but we always know that convenient things are not the best things,
Always
right?
the
Like
best.
nothing good
Right,
ever
right.
came out of being something being convenient, right? Like so I do feel like the tides will turn, and I think the tides will turn only if we all, contribute to the turning of that tide, and that's
Mm,
through really being authentic, creating authentic things, and putting your work out there. But I can recognize that it is
for sure.
daunting. So
It is
yeah.
very
So
daunting. And then,
there's another oh, go ahead, Dad. Go
oh
ahead.
no,
I'll
yeah.
ask the
Is it the
second.
same? You can read it just in case it's
Nah,
different
it's
than what I
not the
said.
same. It's new. Afua asks, "Hey, if someone is still finding his or her voice, what advice would you give that person?" It's a great question.
Oh my gosh, to have so much fun reading different genres,
Yeah,
writing different forms of poetry or whatever it is that you do. Have fun, read out loud, get used to your voice. Like, I teach a lot of workshops that are about finding your voice. So when I'm doing these activities with people, I tell them, like, write in a humorous voice, write in a
hmm,
serious voice, write in a poetic voice. Start to
yeah,
find what really is your voice, so it becomes recognizable on the page. Read a lot of
hmm,
other works, and talk out loud, and also have fun describing things in detail. Like, don't just say the flower the garden was beautiful. Like, can you dive into the sensory details of the flower? Can you tell me how it
Mm-hmm.
smells, how it tastes, how it feels when you touch it? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, where was it? You know, what did it smell like around? Just have fun with going in depth with your writing. And then, yeah, and then comparing at the end and mimicking some other type
Mm-hmm.
of writing, because that's the most important thing to do. You have to think about it, like a baby. A baby's going to mimic everything that, you know, he or she see their parents do until they're able to do it
Yeah.
themselves and create their own way of doing it. So that's the same
Yeah.
thing with our craft. We start mimicking. If you're a guitar player, like a guitarist, you start doing a song from somebody else, and then maybe, you know, you
Yeah.
start implementing like your own music, and then now you're a
Mm-hmm.
songwriter. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
finding your voice, wholeheartedly be curious. Be
Yeah.
curious with everything. Try everything is the best advice that I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that advice. And I 100% agree. Like, you just have to start somewhere. And I think as you start, that's when you start realizing, oh, well, I like this. Or you will always have your own unique spin on things, right? Like,
Correct.
you're never going to be able to copy somebody and it's exact. And you don't want it to be, right? You want
Mm,
to try and let, your own vibe, mix in there, and then you see what you create. And I feel like that's how it goes, like in all aspects of life,
I
especially in
agree.
entrepreneurship and being a creative, right? Like, just start. If the calling is there, it's there for a reason. So just
Exactly.
start and see where it takes you. Like, the only way you fail is if you don't start, honestly. So,
That's a
yeah,
great
thank
thing to
you.
say.
Yeah. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. We'll wait a couple more minutes. Feel free to come off of mute. Maybe it's not a question if you want to say anything. Feel free to come off
Yeah,
mute. We'd love to just meet you all and see
I
you all.
know.
So, no
Yeah.
pressure. I'm sure someone's in bed right now and I get it. So, don't worry. But yeah, if anyone wants to come off mute, feel free to, y'all.
No, this has been
And
super,
just
super
wanted,
cool.
just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity and for everything. I actually didn't know anything about it because I'm not on social media. I don't use social media. But a
Okay.
good friend of mine who was on social media saw it and sent the link to me and said, "I think this is something for you, and this is why I could participate."
Oh,
So I'm just
Oh.
very thankful and
yeah.
I could be part of it.
That's
Thank
so
you.
good.
Thank you
That's a
so
good friend.
much.
Yeah. Thank you to the
Yeah, that
friend
is a good
too.
friend. We love our friends.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's so
Mhm.
good. Thank you.
Thank
And
you
thank
so
you for
much for being
joining
here.
us. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. That's so
Yeah.
amazing. No.
Okay. If we don't have any other questions, then I guess we can almost be at the very end. I know
Mhm.
a lot of you all came here to hear the winners of our submission,
So
Childhood
hard to
Joys That Echo in Our
select.
Work. You all, there were so many submissions. Like, I think there, and honestly, I was so happy to see that. I was like,
I
oh my
know.
gosh, like, yes, people are writing and they're submitting. And it's just the fact that you even took the time to write something and submit it and put yourself out there. It's exactly what we're talking about in this conversation, right? Like,
Mm.
it's beautiful, and it was so hard to choose, so much so that if you want to tell them what we're gonna do,
Oh my God, yes.
actually.
So before we announce our winners, like, we must say we really were overwhelmed by the response, and so many of you truly did take the time to pour your hearts out, and we value that. And
Yeah,
because we value that so much, and it was so many submissions, we will be announcing the first 10 winners of this round, and then we're going to also have another 10 winners in the fall.
yeah,
So later on this fall, you stay tuned. Okay, we'll announce another 10 winners for this wonderful submission that you guys pour your heart into. So we thought that that would
yeah.
be, you know, the fair, right thing to do,
Mhm.
knowing that there are so many submissions. So yeah,
I know. And it was just so hard to choose everyone. So we just couldn't choose 10. We're like,
yeah.
so we're like, we have to at least, yeah, do it again. So thank you. And just to talk about what the 10 people that we're going to call right now are getting. So you will get a 1 month membership to the Creative Writing Hour hosted by Diana. So you'll be able to join the community. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, I think there's
I
just
think there was
somebody
some
that might need to be
feedback.
muted.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Yes, so you will get a 1 month membership to the Creative Writing Hour to meet, writers and creatives that Diana works with. So that I'm excited for that. I
Yeah,
thank you so much for being willing to offer that. We
absolutely.
will send you a print copy of Afrique Noir magazine, which is the Artist Dilemma, our latest magazine that came out. We'll also have an editorial feature on Afrique Noir magazine. So we're going to highlight you as a writer and a creative, and then Diana is actually also going to give you a digital copy of her book, Creative Stillness. So, all of the winners that we call out today, our team will send you a separate email to get your information. We'd love for you all to share photos or memories from your childhood so that we could add that
Yes.
to your feature. And we'll send you some questions to learn more about you as an artist and a creative. So, thank you
Yes.
so much once again for submitting, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call out the names. If you're in here, hopefully somebody's in here that uh,
I
that we
submitted.
chose.
I
If you
know.
are, please come off mute and say something. I don't know. Say hi. If not, we'll also send this out via email to everyone that submitted their work, and we'll announce it on social media as well. Okay, so I will go ahead and get started. So we have 10 that we chose. Isita Jalo Sagna, who wrote What the Body Already Knew. We have Yuri Chuba, who wrote The Art of Dying. We have Yasmin Sarkis, who wrote Open Sesame. We have Shyamo Modisan, if I'm pronouncing that right, who wrote It Is Done, Coming Full Circle. We have Mariam Hassan, who wrote As Long as There's Water. We have Crystal Light Mahlace, who wrote The Work of Play. We have Luis Martinez. There's no title, but I believe he
I
wrote, let
think
me see
it's the
actually.
childhood joys that echoes,
Yeah, I
something
think he
like
just
that.
titled, yeah,
Hmm.
he titled it Childhood
Maybe.
Joys That Echoes. And then we have, and I'm so sorry, Grace Imutinian, who wrote a spoken word, which was very beautiful to read. We have Truly Wolf, who wrote My Mother's Pain. And we have Atong Miar, who wrote Spotless Heats. So that is our 10. If any of you are on the call that wrote, please feel free to come off mute and say hello.
For
If
sure.
not, like Diana said, we will announce another 10 in the fall, and everything that we listed here, you'll get the same thing, the editorial feature, um, and everything else that was included. So,
For sure.
yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And we just want to acknowledge that, it definitely takes so much vulnerability to share your work.
Yeah.
And I mean, you all heard us talk about understanding that rejection is not failure. These are the steps that we must take in order to
Hmm.
continue forward. So I'm just really happy that we got to read so many submissions sincerely, and he also lets us know that there is just a huge, huge, huge community out there
Yeah.
that has so much to give. And he puts the
Yeah.
pressure on us to provide,
Yeah.
to continue to create the opportunities to see you guys shine and
Hmm.
build your confidence and learn more about your art. So please don't
Hmm.
ever stop doing what you're doing or putting yourself out there, because it's truly needed.
It
So yeah,
is. It
thank
is.
you.
Yeah. And we hope to create more spaces like this. Thank you, Diana, for speaking with us today about your book. And we want to continue to cultivate a community with you all. So if you're not already following Diana, please follow her. Diana Alejandrina, I believe is your Instagram name, correct?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. And she also has the Creative Writing Hour, which you'll see on her bio. Once you follow her, you can type in the Creative Writing Hour. I know most of you are already following Afrique Noir. If you're not, you can go ahead and follow us too. We spotlight a lot of creatives, and it's inspirational to see more creatives come together. So we're always looking to build a community.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you all so much. If does anyone want to come off mute, say anything?
Yeah,
No
please
pressure.
do. Yeah, no
No
pressure.
pressure. This was our first one. We'll get comfortable. We'll get there. I know. We'll get
I
there.
know,
One
no, but
step
this
at a
it's
time.
been great. No, great
Yeah.
questions. Sincerely, I love answering
Yeah.
those questions. I put
Thank
the
you.
social media in the chat as well for anybody interested in Yeah, we're always happy to hear your voice, to see your face, and
Yeah.
all good. We know that we get a little shy at the beginning, but hi
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
bring
That
on
are
their
coming
beautiful
off.
faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Thank you. So
appreciate
good to
it.
see you all. I know. Thank you for coming off, turning your camera on. But okay, so I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Diana, thank you so much. It's always
Yes,
such a pleasure to speak with
my
you, and I always
pleasure.
leave just with such gems. Like I'm like gonna go
Yes.
journal. I have some things
The,
that
the feeling
that
is
you
mutual.
sparked
The
in
feeling
me.
is mutual. I equally
Yeah,
feel so proud of you and proud of Noir and everything that you guys continue to do for this community. And I mean, you see the results, so keep at it.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you everyone. So great to meet you all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Stay tuned for the fall when we announce
Yes,
the other
yes,
winners.
please.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for coming. Very, very lovely conversation.
It was. It was.
Let's see, I'm just checking in here.